did a first live LinkedIn event. There we go. We're live. Hello, everyone. Hi, Dr. Tiff.
Oh, hi.
All right. Welcome back to another Dr. Cody and Dr. Tiff session. We have to figure out what to call these.
I know.
It's not dinner with the doc. I used to do that a long
Maybe
time
we
ago.
could ask our viewers to suggest titles for our live.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
An eventual podcast.
Exactly. I think I think it's a great idea. I mean, there's so much misinformation. And I know, talking to you, Dr. Tiff, like that I love being able to truly give truthful information that's not medically biased. And when I say medically biased, I'm really saying pharmaceutically biased. And so I just found this out. I didn't know this, but 70% of the money that pays for medical school, like that funds medical schools, is from pharmaceutical companies.
Really? Like just endowments or like donation or whatever? Wow.
Yep. More than 3/4 of all the finances. So you're like, so I wonder if it's about health or if it's about what drugs we could sell.
That's right.
I don't know. All right. And I love our emergency care system. Thank God we have emergency care. I think that's where our healthcare system excels medically. So today's topic. So coffee. I've had so many patients bring this up, and I thought I'm actually going to do a whole YouTube series of videos coming up on this. But is it a healing ritual or hidden stressor or both? And so we want to kind of go through like what is the truth about coffee? So many people have asked me this, and so I just want to kind of just start that off by like really kind of saying, is I have over 17 years experience running a healthcare clinic, and I watched thousands of people that came in, and they would tell me that coffee was their ritual, and that's why I use that word. It's my morning ritual. I love it. Okay, and it's interesting because out of all the things that I want to make sure we start off by saying there's nothing really bad or good. Like everything has its benefits, so we're not trying to poo-poo it all. Yeah. But I will say, as we go through this, and I'm going to ask you, Dr. Tiff, I have seen incredible results from people who did decide to make that leap and stop coffee. So I'm going to kind of go through let's go through maybe benefits and drawbacks of coffee from your standpoint.
Yeah. Well, first I want to kind of giggle and say I usually say exercise is my morning coffee. That's my ritual, but everybody has their rituals. But
okay,
what I have seen with the coffee craze over the last, I'd say, decade is I think it's like what Americans do with everything. It's to the extreme. Like to me, there's nothing wrong with a cup of coffee, a mug of coffee that's maybe 8 ounces. You're making it at home. It's got moderate caffeine. There's actually a lot of performance benefit to a little bit of caffeine, right? But now we take it to the Starbucks that's like double caffeine and all the added sugars and all the things and the creams and the frothy top and the whipped cream. So I think that now people are over consuming and they can't control the content and how caffeinated it is, so I do think my perspective is there's nothing wrong with having a small cup of coffee with your breakfast or sit on your back patio and do your morning reading and have a cup of coffee. But I think that we become almost obsessive about things, and then the extremity of it, or we're having the caffeine in our coffee, then we're having an energy drink, then we're having a soda in the afternoon, then we're having, so all the caffeine collectively can become an issue, but probably not the amount you're having in your 1 cup of coffee in the morning.
Good. That's good. So I'll play out kind of the polarity of that. So good. Yeah. So let's look at let's look at first what does coffee actually do to the body? So we know it stimulates your central nervous system. So we go, okay, it's the stimulant. It does trigger a stress response. Now so does other things too. But So it does increase cortisol and adrenaline. We know that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so benefits, there's short-term energy boost. Like there's some pretty big benefits in that. And maybe, when you're building your business, you're building your life, maybe you have an emergency, that's beneficial, right? But what I noticed of consistent use is the drawback of the energy, short-term energy boost is long-term energy drain.
Mm-hmm.
And especially on the adrenals. And this is what happens, what I've noticed happens slowly over time, especially for people who are already fatigued. It can disrupt hormone imbalance. And I've seen it with specifically estrogen and progesterone. And so what happens is like there'll be this short-term spike, and it happens, really you need to be doing this like every single day, which many people who are coffee addicts are doing this every single day for quite a long time. But you slowly don't realize that you're starting to rely on the coffee for the energy. So, one way you can do it is, hey, let me see, what if you just remove the coffee for a week and see what happens? Well, if you feel exhausted and tired and you're getting headaches, then you have bypassed your body's natural adrenal system, or you could say even circadian rhythms. The other thing, let's say drawbacks. So for every cup of coffee you drink, caffeine closes the pores in the large intestines, so you don't absorb water, or it's very hard to absorb water for 45 minutes to an hour after. This is why people will pee a lot when they're drinking coffee, or alcohol does the same thing. So,
diuretic, yeah, sure.
Yep, exactly. And then last one, which I'm going to do I'm actually very close to creating an entire program on this, not just a YouTube videos, but a course in this. It's your gut health. And I've watched the acidity. It irritates it. It can slow gut healing issues. Coffee can actually slow that. So those are the impacts I've seen in the body. I want to see if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I think you look at the pros and cons, because I think for a lot, coffee keeps them regular too, right? I have a lot of people like, as soon as I drink my cup of coffee, I go to the bathroom. So I think that it certainly can disrupt, but I think for some people it also can help to keep them on a regular bowel movement schedule. So I don't know, I feel like we maybe have a little difference in our perspective on that. And again, I'd be curious, the clients that you've had, that you've seen that disruption in energy and maybe cortisol levels, or just all of the disruption of the adrenal glands, like, were they all drinking the same amount per day, or did it vary? Like somebody that was having multiple cups a day, or a very large cup, or highly caffeinated, did you notice, like, was there a threshold at which it might have been
Good question.
less beneficial, you know?
Great question. Because I there was a point in time where I was seeing 300 patients a week, so I had a lot of samples patients. I had everyone from someone for people who were doing 1 to 2 pots a day, to people that were doing 1 cup a day. And of course, the people doing 1 to 2 pots, they were at the point of taking antidepressants and didn't realize that the coffee. So when we got them off the coffee, they didn't even connect it together. But getting off it, I had to do an insane adrenal support for those people. And we literally had to wean it off like you would a medication. It was like
that withdrawal.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of 2 pots, it's 1 pot. Now, I also have patients who are doing 1 cup a day. But I want to say this distinction, because these people, the consistency, the variable that was consistent was that they were doing it consistently every single day for a long period of time without any stopping. So like, I didn't see it as much with people that were like, hey, I do some coffee here and there. But for those people that were saying, this is my morning ritual, like, this is what I do to get up, that's where I noticed it was an issue, whether or not it was 1 cup or 2 pots. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a consistency. And I do think, to your point, is like, when we are reliant on something, it's probably become an unhealthy relationship with it, like any addiction. And it's hard to call coffee an addiction, but I mean, caffeine certainly is an addictive substance at some level. So I think it's, to your point, if you notice impacts when you come off of it, and you've been relying on it to get through the day, or to stay focused, or for performance benefit, then it's probably become excessive. And to give your body a break and your gut a break and all the things to kind of cycle on and off of it would probably be a good routine to just implement, like anything else. Like, okay, I'm going to just take a break from that for a little while, let everything kind of reset, and then maybe I can slowly it back in and maybe find your threshold. It's like, okay, if I go over this amount, then I feel that energy crash. But if I stay here, then I feel like maybe my energy is more at an equilibrium. So that might be, it's kind of like food elimination, right? Like I can handle this much gluten, but if I take it up to this
Mhm.
level, then I see some bloating or gut issues. So
Yeah.
that
Yep.
might be a good routine to implement, is okay, can I come off of it and let my body like reset a little bit and then come back on it? But
Exactly. These are the things that if I was experiencing these things, this is what it would make me consider going, should I get off the coffee for a little bit? Chronic fatigue or burnout. Like you're tired every day at a certain amount of time and you have a hard time getting energy. I would quit the coffee.
yeah.
Hormonal imbalances, 100%, because you're basically just causing an adrenal, not just adrenal, but cortisol spike.
Hmm.
And that for a lot of women, and gaining excess weight is a big deal because cortisol will lay down fat in the belly. Um, Anxiety or panic, sleep issues. Even if you have your coffee in the morning, I started seeing the connection. There's so much behind this circadian rhythm with this, which I'll explain. And then poor digestion. The one I definitely hear what you said, people saying, hey, coffee, let's use the bathroom regularly. Not using the bathroom regularly is terrible. And I would like to ask, I love to ask my patients, if you're having to use coffee to use the bathroom, like what happens when you stop using the coffee? Like, was your body designed to need coffee or caffeine, right? So it's like, am I handling the underlying issue?
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's like, we could go through major stressors and be like, you know what, right now I can't handle the stress and I just would rather drink coffee. Are some benefits to that.
Well, and to your point, I think if you have somebody that is trying to come off of it and they're having symptoms, they probably do need to introduce something else temporarily to, because then they're going to have trouble working, or not having headaches or whatever the case may be. So I do think it's sometimes when you're removing something that's been a really substantial part of your daily routine, in the short term, you might have to be really thoughtful about what am I going to put in there that helps to relieve some of these symptoms, so that I don't have an impact on my job or impact on like how present I am with my kids or my family, or I have to be like taking naps because I'm having migraines. So I think
Yep.
you have to be really mindful of, if this is something you want to come off of, you may not be able to go cold turkey, or you're going to end up dealing with other symptoms that are even worse than having the coffee.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That's good. So let's go there then. Like, let's talk about what do you do if you want to get off this, and what are the alternatives? And I want to just go through a little bit of circadian rhythm stuff. So um most people are aware that the circadian rhythm is literally an internal clock in your brain, that when you see sunlight, when you feel sunlight or even see sunlight, it actually triggers cortisol. Like, it tells you to get up. And the other thing that does that took me a while to figure out was food. When you eat food, it actually triggers your circadian rhythm. So food and sunlight does that. So what I'm noticing is that I've dated people before. My one of them was not just dating, but my ex-wife was like, you ever heard someone say, don't talk to me until I get my coffee? And what they're actually saying is, I have bypassed my natural innate rhythm with the universe, and I have triggered my universe to start with caffeine. That's what I hear when I hear someone say that. Now they're not thinking that, but that's what's actually happening. So again, that's not wrong. If I was a nurse, I think I would probably use coffee to get my body, like, and I worked at night, I'd
mm,
probably use coffee to trigger the night to be awake and the day to go to sleep. Like, that's how I would probably use that, right?
yeah.
Um, so one of the things I challenge people to do is to try to, can you get it back in sync with the planet? I think that's a big benefit to that,
Don't want
right?
to be reliant on. I mean, I see that a lot with folks that hit that afternoon crash, and then they start either getting an energy drink or they crave sugar or whatever else they may be needing for that artificial energy. And I'll say to them, are you dehydrated? Are you hungry? Are you, why are you
There you
looking
go.
for something. And so often we'll look back at their lunch and maybe they had a really low carb lunch, and so that they're, just weren't satisfied and now they're craving the sugar. I'm saying, why don't you just go ahead and have some carbs with your lunch?
Yeah.
And then
Bingo.
you probably wouldn't be craving the caffeine or the
Yeah.
sugar later. But
Yeah.
they're just trying to, oh, I was trying to be so good and not have the this, but then you end up going down the rabbit hole of less optimal things later. And
Yeah.
I think coffee becomes that. And now, of course, these energy drinks are more popular, for that afternoon jump start, which is even worse because they have all kinds of other stuff in them. Um, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I think to wean, you said something, what would you do to kind of come off of it? I mean, I think it would almost be like titrating a medication downward when you're wanting to wean off of it, where you go to a smaller dosage over time. So like if you're a 2 pot a day coffee drinker, maybe the first week you try to do a pot and a half, and then you try to go to a pot, and then you go to half. So I think that would be, but I think it's like quitting smoking. I think it's personal too. Like my brother smoked for since he was 18 years old, and at like 30 something decided to quit. He just was like, I'm just done. I'm just cold turkey. I'm like, he just stopped smoking. Whereas I know other people have to kind of use the nicotine patch or use the gum or use, so I think everybody's a little different too.
Yep. There's some fast track and some slow track to getting off the caffeine. Slowly weaning it off is definitely one way to do it, and it definitely is slow. If you know the right way to support your adrenal system, you can speed that process up. And so, and if you understand how to replace your ritual, those are the two things. So like chicory root, dandelion tea, and herbal adaptogens are one thing, because some people just tell me, oh, just love the warmth of the feel of it. I'm like, well, then just get something warm. You don't need to have coffee with it, right?
Hot tea,
Yeah,
chamomile.
that is one, right? And another thing has been interesting, I've really experimented with, is putting electrolytes in your water first thing in the morning. It is really cool what that does. It creates the same kind of, like, your system goes, whoa, I'm awake. I gotta, it really is interesting. And then how fast can you get sunlight, movement, and breath work? One of those. So those work really well. You really want to have a good adrenal support when you're trying to get off coffee, even if you're weaning it or just getting straight off. So high levels of B vitamin and C vitamin, well, normal levels of B, but high levels of C, you could say, are very important. So I use an adrenal gland supplement that is chewable. It tastes terrible. And it actually has adrenal bovine, like literally bovine adrenal in it. But you could easily just have strawberries and oatmeal and get foods that have B's and C's in them.
Yeah.
So just want to put that out there, because that's important. So that way and I will say too, what's interesting is to have the conversations with people when they get off it, because what coffee does is it gets you used to a high energy spike. And I've noticed that people start thinking that that's normal, meaning when you have consistent energy throughout the day, your brain is programmed, this is what I need. But when you've been used to having spikes and now you don't have them, your brain will go, I'm not getting the same dopamine hits, so to speak, that I was getting. I'm not getting that same spike. And so I've had to really talk people through. They're like, wait, I have the same energy all throughout the day. It's confusing. I'm like, yes, that's consistent.
That's
normal
normal.
Yeah. You've been used to this.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
that's, you see what I'm saying? So there's a little bit of rewire. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would your thoughts be on somebody that said, well, why can't I just do decaf coffee?
Yeah. I would say to that person, go look up how they make decaf coffee. Because there's chemicals they use to strip the caffeine. And there is a ton of evidence that decaf coffee might actually be worse than just having the freaking
it's like
caffeine.
Diet soda versus.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, the diet soda is like, diet soda ends up being way worse than just go have the freaking soda if you're gonna have it.
Really want one, do the real thing. That's right.
Yeah, so it's nice, but there's a lot of chemicals. They do make I think they make some kind of, but caffeine. So there's some people who've also tried the recent mushroom, chocolate mushroom, and I like it. I will say though, there's still caffeine in it.
Yeah.
And if you look at this, you actually need to remove it from your system if you're going to get off it. Like you can't have just little amounts of it. So the mud water thing that's going around, it's really, I love it. They have they make not mud water, but on Amazon, look up mushroom chocolate with no sugar. It's just mushrooms like lion's mane and all the adaptogens and just straight cacao with no sugar. And that is a great, when I do hot chocolate, when we go camping, I love hot chocolate. We'll do that. That is a great way to replace your morning ritual.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like you said, having something to replace that ritual. I've had this with my clients who are coming off alcohol, and it's like, I just want that something while I'm cooking. I just want to be able to sit and enjoy something at the end of the day. And they're like, I don't even know that I care about the alcohol. It's just the ritual of having something in my hand. And so we'll talk about putting different things in a wine glass or some non-alcoholic alternatives. And I think for a lot of people, this is going to be no different if it's something you're just so used to having. So,
yeah, that really is such an important thing to replace. There's many books written on this, but to replace your habit with something. If it is, I love one thing that's kind of funny in a conversation with someone who says, I love drinking coffee. So this is what I like asking them. Do you love the taste of coffee? Oh yeah, I do. Do you put milk and sugar in it? Yeah. Why are you putting milk and sugar if you like the taste? Well, because it's hard to drink if I don't do that. Then you don't like the freaking taste.
No, exactly. Like you like the sugar and cream and the hot.
Yeah. And then for people who drink black coffee, they go, oh yeah, I love the taste of it. And I ask them, I want you to think back about your first cup of coffee and tell me, did you go, oh my God, this is so delicious? Nope, not one person. Not one person who drinks alcohol. If you think back about your first sip of alcohol, it was effing terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You had to force that down your gullet to start tricking yourself and saying, this tastes amazing. So let's just get real with ourselves. When we look at, oh my God, it tastes good. No, you made it. You forced it upon yourself to taste good. Just FYI.
Do it. That's right. Because I remember, when I had my first beer in college or something, playing like beer pong or something, I'm sure I choked that thing down for sure.
Yep. I remember my first beer, I think my dad let me have a sip and it was like, oh, everyone's reaction is like, it's like you want to get it away.
And you're like, why do I keep drinking this? It makes me
and why do you? Because everyone else is doing it. And so you keep doing it. Although everyone else is doing it, so I must do this. Everyone else has punched themselves in the face. I should just keep doing it.
That's right.
Yeah. And so same thing with coffee. And then there's also associations with being as a kid. For some people, I grew up, my mom, every morning there's coffee. So when I smell coffee, it reminds me of being a kid waking up at home. Now, I will say to everyone, I've never drank coffee in my life. I'm not saying that because it's a great thing. I'm saying that because in school, in chiropractic school, I watched my friends. We're in natural healthcare school, and I watched my friends. We stayed up late to study, and they would drink coffee. And I asked myself this question. I said, "Can I create the resources and energy? Can I do it internally without having to drink coffee?" And again, it's not a worse or better. I'd say they had a much better study session late at night than I did, because it takes a lot of energy to resource your own. I'm just going to stay up late and keep my mind up. So I don't think I was able to study as well at night. I think they had much better studies,
No, that's true. I mean, I never drank coffee until I was probably 30 years old. And my ex-husband, similar to your ex-wife, was a coffee drinker. He had to have his coffee every morning. And so then I started to just have a cup of coffee with him every morning. But I'm kind of like, take it or leave it. I don't feel like I need it. And I never drink more than one in the morning, if that. So, but yeah, I think it's just, you get used to it, or you start something with somebody in your life and it becomes a routine. And, it's just interesting. But to your point, like studying in grad school or studying in college, never was a stay up late, drink a cup of coffee to keep going kind of person. But I know it happens a lot. So,
Yep, it does. So anyway, I want to put out to everyone, if you're watching this live or watching this after, please send us a message, to either of us. We love doing these natural, healthy conversations just surrounding many different topics. Send us a comment what you want to hear about. We'd love to know what you guys want to talk more about, recent topics, recent subjects, or something you're dealing with. And you're getting some great experience with both of the knowledge we have and the number of people we both worked with. We'd love to know what you guys want help with. So anything else you want to say, Doc?
No, that would be great. Or even just to invite somebody to join us sometime and like troubleshoot with them. That would be fun too.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. So
Anybody
please
the free free session with the docs, let us know.
Free ass kicking. It's called Doctor's Ass Kicking.
Right.
Every Thursday at noon Mountain Standard Time. Well, I'll be the ass kicking, and then Dr. Tiff, you can be the loving support.
Good cop, and he will be the bad cop.
I'm really good bad cop, and I'd rather the feminine be the really good cop. That's what the masculine does for the feminine, is we hold the space so you can support.
There you go. Exactly.
That's cool. That's super fun. Well, thanks for being on this. I'm super excited.